Strange New Worlds is currently the best new Star Trek show you could be watching. With more of an emphasis on episodic episodes, character struggles, and an overarching story that goes on in the background, this makes it for our new Star Trek. Yet, not everyone may be so inclined to agree. Mostly probably people who are more old school Trekkie fans and watch more of the original stuff. Now, I grew up on a lot of the old Star Trek stuff myself. I didn't watch it as regularly as other people because I was a kid, but I definitely see the lack of nuance that Strange New World has compared to the older stuff. And I complain about exposition a lot on this channel, so you guys probably already know where I'm going with this. Even though this show does a good job at distracting you with the mystery box and the plot twist at the end of every third act of each episode,
I did get the sense that she was hiding something.
What was she hiding?
characters do wear their hearts on their sleeves, which means they're always saying how they're feeling. Match this with how the camera zooms in on important details so you can exactly know how the person is expressing at what time and exactly what they're feeling when. Makes everything feel more face value.
Have an energy.
What?
It's making me sweat.
Top this with the over-exaggerated humor, where we have situations where Spock is the butt of the joke, and it's really just a juxtaposition between his Vulcan and human tendencies clashing with one another, and we have old-time jokes like eating bacon for the first time, except this time it's with Spock. The reason I bring up nuance is how subtle the original Star Trek was. If characters were to make jokes with one another or create humor, it was due within the restraints of their own character design, not so much creating a plot that had a slapstick humor behind it.
There's over. A most annoying, emotional episode.
Smack right in the old eye. Oh, I'm sorry. In your case, it would be about here.
The fact that my internal arrangement differs from yours, Doctor, pleases me no end.
On top of this, it leaves more room for interpretation for the audience. When the characters are constantly telling each other how they are feeling, it doesn't allow us to explore those characters ourselves. We are just left watching and waiting for them to figure out the things that we already know.
I was not responsible for the data. It would be illogical to blame.
Just learn when to leave people alone, Spock.
Sorry. I'm working on that.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is like the originals are more of a flute playing a melody that slowly paints a picture for you, whereas the new Star Treks there's more of a blaring trumpet showing you the grand design. And even though both are structurally built the same with the same foundation, it can come down to a matter of preference on how you get to see the final product. For me, the actual issue is the lack of subtext that the new shows are putting within the dialogue. Now, with the bad out of the way, and I do like getting that out of the way first, let's talk about why so many others, including myself, enjoy Season 2 so much. The consistencies of the episodes is what keeps you intrigued. There's usually an issue happening outside in space or with the alien race or conflict between ideals, and it's centered around a character or a crew member on the show. They themselves are having internal strife, struggling with something that is relatable to the audience. And it's through this struggle that they eventually figure out how to solve the outside or objectional problem that's going on in front of them. This becomes fulfilling in two ways. The first one, it bypasses all the science jargon, which someone like myself might not be able to keep up with fully. And secondly, it makes it more relatable. Having something like dealing with death or grief is very much relatable than trying to figure out how you can match frequencies of mass and antimatter together to make sure you can talk to interdimensional fourth beings. And even though that is the core of what Strange New Worlds is and how they handle every episode, they do this while tackling people's own ideals, Federation ideals, and also still still keeping it relatable for everyone. It's a lot to juggle, but makes it fun to watch. All the while, the relationship between the crewmates and between the crew and the universe have a continuous story that goes on in between the episodes. And yes, some stories do fall flat because we're just told outright how the character feels, but others get nurtured and taken care of, and you can see how the characters struggle with one another because of their differences, but then they learn from one another and grow, only for that growth to be the factor that hurts them the most, and it creates like this poetic symmetry, making it rhyme.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
All the while, we learn about the universe and the threats out there that the Federation has to deal with, and it just slowly cooks and bubbles under the surface until finally it surfaces to come back and haunt the crew. Even though the show can lack in subtext and hurting our own interpretation of the characters, it makes up for it by staying consistent and having a clear view of where it wants to go and telling a story, which is why I gotta give Star Trek Strang. This is why you put your phones on vibrate. Which is why I gotta give Star Trek Strange New Worlds a 7.5 out of 10. Until next time, play nice. Can we talk about and agree just how awesome the show looks? From the special effects and the practical effects mixing together, the interior of the ship just looks so clean and sleek, and they give you snippets of what the Enterprise looks like out in space, but when they do, oh man, it looks awesome. I just had to talk about that. I forgot to talk about it, I think. All right, bye everyone. Good eye.